All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Just in case you don't know me, my name is Len Thompson, and I am Broadcom's Mainframe Division Community Manager. I want to welcome you to our first session in our new Beyond Code webcast series. Just in case you aren't sure what Beyond Code is, I can give you a quick rundown, and we'll get you some more information on that as we go forward. Basically, Broadcom, we understand that it takes more than just great technology for you to be successful. So we developed several programs that we call Beyond Code programs that are here to help you maximize your mainframe investments. They offer value outside of code through skills building and workforce vitality to flexible licensing, rationalization services, knowledge sharing, and more. Basically, we're here. We want to work with you to address your toughest challenges. You can definitely expect to hear more about Beyond Code in our communities and elsewhere going forward in the coming weeks and months, but this is our first sort of kickoff. So for today we're going to be talking about our Vitality program. Dave and team will talk about it here in a second, but before we do that, I have a couple things I need to cover. First, if you have questions during the session, and we always hope that you do, please use the questions box along the right-hand side of your screen, right under the GoToWebinar control panel. You can ask them right in there, and we'll get through as many of those as we can during our time together today. If for some reason something requires us to do some research, I'll make sure the team gets everything they need to follow up with you afterwards. Secondly, we are recording today's session, and the replay will be available probably sometime tomorrow out in the Broadcom Mainframe Software Community. So if you have someone you want to share it with, I would definitely encourage you to point them there. And the last thing from me is that we want to make sure these sessions are valuable. So with that in mind, a short survey is going to pop up at the end of the session. I know Dave and Neil and Earl and the team would love some feedback on today's webcast, and so would I. That's it for me, so I'm going to hand you off to Dave Bond from the Vitality team. Take it away, Dave.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Appreciate this. And welcome, everyone, to our Vitality Program Beyond Code session, how the Vitality Program can help you in skilling up your organization. I'm joined here today with Neil Cash and Earl Dixon. My name is Dave Bond. I'm one of the Mainframe Vitality Program SMEs here at Broadcom. And before we get started into the presentation, I want to take an opportunity to introduce to you Earl and Neil. So Earl, if you would introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Earl Dixon. I am the Vitality Program Tech Lead, and I'm responsible for making sure all the content, along with Tara Stubert, is up to snuff for all of our participants that come through our program, and that they get a wonderful education at the end of it. So that's my responsibilities within the Vitality Program, and then I'll turn it over to Neil.
Hey, welcome, and nice to have you join us today. I'm the program lead for Vitality, and very happy that Dave and Earl are very capable of understanding many of the underlying details. The big picture with Vitality is that we've had 4 cohorts. That means we've done Vitality from a standpoint of the complete training program 4 times. And we've done it 2 more times in Europe in a little bit different way. So we're really gainfully experienced in this environment, and I hope you enjoy the presentation today. And thank you for joining.
Okay.
Hey Dave, I think you may have muted yourself, sir.
Apologies there. I was trying to get to the presentation. Can everybody see the presentation here?
Yes,
we can. And we can hear you now too.
Great. Wonderful. So let me start off with a little bit of why Broadcom has chosen to do the Mainframe Vitality Program. Back in 2019, our executives heard from our customers that there was this challenge that they were having in not only just finding the right kind of mainframe talent to join their companies, but identifying the right talent, but also maintaining them to help them stay on board with their companies. So what Broadcom decided to do is put together an opportunity. We call this the Vitality Program, where we can help you, our customers, identify long-term mainframe career employees. Now, that's a big thing to talk about. So what I want to do is kind of tell you a little bit what the program is about. One thing that I've asked Lynn to help us with is we want this presentation to be interactive. I just don't want to plow through a couple of slides here and have you just sit there and look. We want you to interact. So we've instructed Lynn, if you have a question, It's okay to interrupt us as we go along. That's what we want this training to be, what this webcast to be. So with that said, when we started the Mainframe Vitality Program in 2019, what we wanted to do is identify what's the best way to help our customers. Well, the first thing is identifying the right kind of mainframer to participate in our program. So what we do is we work with one of our vendor companies, LaunchCode, to help us identify the right kind of individuals to apply for our program. This is a vetting process that takes not just a couple of days or a couple of weeks, but sometimes can take several months. And what we do is we go through and identify the right kind of individuals, and then we start interviewing them. We start taking them through different types of interview questions. We ask them about their history. We want to know about their work as well. Our program is not designed just for those individuals who come out of college right away. We're also looking for individuals who are being reintroduced into the workforce. We're looking for individuals perhaps who might be a veteran and want to come back into the workforce as well, or change careers. So we're not tied to one kind of individual or not. So that's who we're looking for. So what we do is we go through that vetting process and we identify those individuals that we want to participate in our program, and we make them an offer. And what we do is we bring those individuals in and take them through training. Now, one of the questions we get asked is, is this free training? Do we pay those residents? And the answer is we pay those residents, and that's what we call our students. We call them residents. We pay them to come to our program, and we teach them the mainframe, and we teach them at least one Broadcom product. So that's how this program works, is we identify the right kind of individuals, we take them through a lot of training, and we pay them as we take them through the training. Now, the training is based on different kinds of criteria. What we have found is we don't want to teach somebody just the Broadcom product. That's important, obviously, but you can't learn just the Broadcom product without having a foundation, a building block, so to speak, of the mainframe. So we invest a lot of time and a lot of money instructing these individuals in the mainframe. If you look at the chart here, the very first course we teach is Mainframe Academy. Now, this is a foundational mainframe class. It's very challenging for anybody who is new to the mainframe, and we take them through that class for up to 6 weeks. Now, before we go too far into this, we want you to know that class is instructor-led, and it is a virtual class. And that class is 8 hours a day for 6 weeks. Now, it's a bit of a challenge, 8 hours a day, you're in a virtual session. But what we have found is that class is very interactive as well. You have an instructor leading the class, giving the residents a good bit of knowledge. There's lab work, there's testing, and at the end of that class, there is a certification test that's taken for each of the residents. What we have found out in that class, it's just not 8 hours a day. That's how much you're in your class for. But after the first couple of weeks or so, what we notice is some of the residents will get together at night after class to go over different items that they went over that week. Sometimes they join the instructor at night, ask him to join over the weekend. So it's just not an 8 hour a day job, but what it is instruction that goes beyond 8 hours sometimes. So that's how Mainframe Academy works. What we have heard from our residents, both those that we hire as well as our customers who participate, that it's very thorough, very intense, but afterwards they realize that it's a lot of instruction for a reason, because you have a very short time to gain the knowledge. They are thankful for that, and once they start using those commands in JCL or Rex, you find out that you're learning more than you realize. In that class, you get ISPF, TSO, as I mentioned before, JCL and Rex, a little bit of COBOL, a little bit of assembler, and you get a lot of that within that 6 week period. Now, once that class is over, you do have an opportunity to get 2 other classes as well. One is we call our our soft skill training, our ASE soft skills. And that's a couple of weeks where you get not just the soft skills of presentations, but you get identified some personality tests and things like that. You get to see what kind of learner you are. You get to see what kind of worker you are. And you're asked to present. We just don't create programmers. We also create well-rounded residents. So that's what that program is for. And you learn a lot about yourself, but it also gives you the opportunity to know that you're going to do more than just code. You're going to have to present to management sometimes what you're doing. So that's why we have that 2 weeks there. After that, we have a week off. You start the AST training. And what our residents do there is they get a deeper dive into the REX and the JCL, the ZOS components, but they also get a little bit more of the assembler. And what we do at the end of that is we also add a section on SMPE. Now, these residents are not going to come out of the training and immediately start upgrading ZOS or upgrading the product or anything like that, but they are introduced to the SMPE types of information and that technology. So they're aware of it, they're trained in it, but they just don't have a lot of experience after the training. But we do introduce those concepts. And then after a week of resting and having some time off, we do bring them back for the product training. Now, every single one of our residents that join the program, we ask that obviously they go through all the mainframe instruction, but they need to complete the training for at least one of our products. And you'll notice the products down there on the bottom left of this slide. Those are the 6 products that we currently have Vitality Program training in. So those are the ones that we identify with, and that's the ones that we teach. Now, some years we may not teach all of them. Some we will have, like this year, we do expect to have an IBMS class. But what drives which products we teach and which products is assigned to each of our residents depends on customer demand. That's something that we are actively working with our customer pipeline. So that's what we work with, and that's when we try to identify the right products to teach in the fall. So let me tell you a little bit about the timeline. As I mentioned, the Mainframe Academy, the soft skills, the ASE training, and our product training. We start our Mainframe Academy May 9th. That's the beginning. It takes you through into July, and we have the first week of July where the Mainframe Academy and the soft skills together. And then after that, you have a week off and you go to AST training in July and into August. And then the product training begins mid to late August and takes you all the way out to the end of September. So really that training starts in May and goes all the way to the end of September from a cumulative perspective. Now, once that's done, everybody's brain's full, right? They're like, wow, we've taken so much to this. What is the next step? Well, the next step is we start working with our internal Broadcom teams to start looking at mentors for our residents. And they start working on applying some of the knowledge that they have in real world scenarios. But what we have available to you, our customers, is what we call the residency period. And that residency period starts the moment that they graduate from the program. Now, what does the residency program mean? Well, you get to take one of our residents and they are assigned to your team for up to 6 months. And what that enables them to do is take what they've learned and apply it with your organization, with one of your technical mentors, to take them through your organization and how that work, the work that you do, can be coupled with their training. What I've noticed is that when our residents start, there's that spin up time of getting their onboarding taken care of. But what we expect is our customers to assign a mentor for that group. Let me give you an example. We have our residents are trained in different products, and let's just say top secret. We would take a top secret trained resident and put them with you, and perhaps you have your team lead or your tech lead at your site. And what you would do is you would show them the ropes of what you're doing to administrate top secret in your organization. And what we have found is is over the next 3 to 6 months, that resident will start identifying opportunities. You will assign some work for them to do to make changes and add value to your organization. Sometimes it takes up to 3 months or so before a customer says, hey, we're ready for this person to do something in production. But certainly it's an opportunity for that resident to get to know you and you to get to know them. And the main goal of this is at the end of that 3 to 6 month residency, that you're in a position to hire that resident onto your team as an employee of your company. That is the goal of this program, is for us to train these residents, place them with you for a residency period, and then you hire them into your organization. That's what we want to do. So during that residency period, there's a valuable part of communication that happens. Whereas myself, Neil, or Earl, what we will do is we will meet with you during that residency period every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks. It really depends on how you want to set that up, where we will meet with you to make sure that that resident is doing what your expectations are from the resident, that there are no course corrections needed. But if there are, we meet with that resident and we go over that with them. So we make this a very transparent program. We make it very transparent for you and for us, because our goal is to help you, our customer, find quality mainframers for your organization. So that's our journey in the mainframe. So I'm going to stop right there, and I just want to see if there's any questions so far, Len.
No questions so far, so I think we can continue.
So Dave, just to jump in here and just to add on about the product training, it is comprehensive. Some of it is taught by a lot of our own internal developers and our own engineers that train a lot of these classes. We do use partner instructors, but all of it is hands-on. There's a lot of labs for them to learn in a safe environment before they get to your site. And the critical piece that Dave has already mentioned is the mentorship. The mentorship is the key to all of this working for any organization. And that's from a Broadcom perspective, and that's also from a customer perspective. And if you saw one of our SOWs, you would see some of the customer responsibilities, which is, assigning that mentor, like you said, that can teach them all of the idiosyncrasies of your site, how Datacom works at your site, how Top Secret works at your site. And I think that is the critical component to ensuring that we have a long-term success, is having those mentors from both sides that are there to help that individual come along. Our technical mentor is there to answer any technical questions about the product itself. Your mentor is there to answer any questions about the environment and how the environment operates, these particular products. So sorry, Dave, to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure we made sure that was clear.
You bring up a really good point, and I want to expand on that just a little bit. We had one of our residents who was receiving instruction, not just from the team lead at the customer, but also one of the technical leads at the customer. And they meet on a regular basis. Well, the customer came back to me in one of our one-on-one sessions about, hey, do we need to do any course corrections and what have you? They came back and said, hey, listen, we really want this resident to learn a little bit more about cleanup, or we want them to learn a little bit more about certificates. It was a top secret person. And I'm like, great. So what we actually did is had the Broadcom mentor of that resident work with the customer to get a good understanding of how much depth they wanted on certificates and how much depth on cleanup. And it worked really well when the Broadcom mentor worked with the customer mentor, and that relationship just works really well with the resident. It's very organic. It seems to work very well so far. So that's a great point. I appreciate you bringing that up, Earl. Okay. Of course, we have down at the bottom of this slide our Vitality website. It's our microsite, and it gives you a little bit more deeper dive into some of the things that we do. It has some great blogs from some of our past residents and current residents where they share their story of what the Vitality program means to them. It also gives you an opportunity to fill out a form that gets sent to our Vitality program that says you're interested in at least learning more about the Vitality program. And we will get back to you certainly and have an interaction with you, a meeting, so that we can talk to you more about the Vitality program. Okay? One of the questions
Lost your voice. There we go. There we go. It's back.
Yeah, one of the questions that we do have is, tell us a little bit about your timeline. And I went through it quickly on the previous slide. But as you can see here, our Mainframe Academy starts in May. Our ASC soft skill training begins in June. And what we do is we have found out that after that, 8 weeks of training, so to speak, they need a break, right? So we give them a break. We tell them, decompress, go on holiday, go on vacation, do something to kind of clear your head. And then we bring them back to the ASD training. And this is where they get that deeper dive. We have a very strong ASD program. It gives our residents an opportunity to just dive deeper. You can ask your instructors a lot of questions. The one thing I do want to mention is this year's training in 2022, it's all going to be virtual. So whereas, typically this is a low cost, no cost kind of program, all of our training will be virtual this year. So I wanted to get that out there as well. Certainly after the ASD training, we have another week off, so they get 2 breaks along the way. And then they start their product training. And you can see the different time frames of the product training: 4 weeks for our Endeavor, 5 weeks for Ops MBS and or Top Secret. ACF2 runs about 6 weeks, as does IDMS and Datacom. Now, one of the reasons we wanted to have this webcast is we understand that our customers go through different times of the year where your organizations develop the budgets for this year and also going into next year. So we give this timeline for a really good reason. You'll notice that our training begins in May. It goes through the end of September. That means our residents are ready to start their residency with you at mid-October. We like to give them a little bit of time off after training, but typically mid-October is when they can start with you for their residency. And again, this residency is free to all of our customers, meaning we continue as Broadcom to pay our residents salary while they are working for you. Some of our customers call it an internship. We call it a residency, but think of it this way. You, the customer, are not paying for that resident for up to 6 months. We continue to pay their salary. We also put them up in a corporate apartment if they're at your location on site. We also give them a meal stipend. We try to do all the things that we can do from a program standpoint to have them so focused on your work, your environment, and them starting their mainframe career. We try to take a lot of those other things out of the picture. We want them focused on you. So that's what we do. And certainly by the end of that 6 months, they would be ready to be hired by you. So that time frame is going to be March, April time frame of 2023 is when you would need to be in a position to hire that resident. And here's what we do. We do ask you to be in a position to hire them. This is not a program where it's like a services program where we just give you somebody for 6 months and then you just give them back to us. This is a partnership between you and Broadcom where we help train that resident and you help develop that resident from an experience standpoint, and you bring that training and experience together, and it gives that resident an opportunity for full-time career employment with you, our customer. So that's how we like to architect this program. Okay.
Yeah. And Dave, to add on to that, I heard you mention, some customers may think of it as an internship, and I'm just going to explain the difference between an internship and what we call a residency is that most interns come in with little to no knowledge of the mainframe, let alone the products. These guys go through almost 26 weeks of full training, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. you know, with a few breaks in between. And when they come out, they're more of an intermediate. They just don't have that real world experience to sit in a customer site. But, you know, being a DB2 system programmer for over 25 years, whenever I got a new account, it still took me, you know, a month or so to really understand their environment before I could really truly get in and start working on it. So those are some of the things that we want to just remind people, you know, as well as when you look at the program, it's not only, you know, for you to hire a resident. You could very well send all of your new hires through the entire program. If they have a little bit of experience, then they can go straight to the AST. But all of our vitality training has to end with a product. You know, you have to end with one of the 6 products that are listed on the page right now. And as long as you go through all of those or any of those and it ends in product training, or if you have an experienced person that's just changing careers, say they were, you know, a CICS person, but they want to know Datacom now, they can go through just the product training because they have enough experience with, you know, Mainframe Academy and or AST that they don't need that training. So then they just go through the product specific. So I wanted to make sure that was clear to everyone that you can start at any phase as long as it ends in product training.
Great point, Earl. Great point. Okay. So we've given you a lot of information and a lot of information really to think about. So Lynn, I want to give folks an opportunity to start providing, you know, questions to you, and then if you'll just let us know, Earl and I and Neil, we can just kind of do this popcorn back.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So we actually did have a couple of questions that just came in, so I didn't interrupt you because they just came in.
Okay.
First one, this seems too good to be true. What is the catch?
Can I answer that?
I wonder how many times
you want that? Absolutely. You know, when you really look at it holistically, it's about replenishing the ecosystem of the mainframe first and foremost. But, you know, don't get it wrong. We do have an ulterior motive. We want our products to be at all of our customer site for the foreseeable future. So, you know, if you can't find a Datacom person, we will train up one to help you with that. You know, it benefits everyone around. It benefits the mainframe ecosystem. It benefits our customers, and it benefits Broadcom at the end of the day.
Great question. So some people say sometimes you can't give away, I know Neil mentioned this, you can't give away gold bricks every now and then. So it's like, to be true.
And that's part of the transparency of us. If you ask that question, you're going to get that answer or a very similar answer from any one of us or any of our executives that, you know, it's about the ecosystem, it's about our customers, and it's about Broadcom. And we all win in the end. If we can get, you know, fresh new talent in, we all win. The mainframe wins, the customer wins, and Broadcom wins.
Absolutely.
And that's the essence of Beyond Code.
Yep.
Add value.
All right, guys, thanks. The next one, your presentation only shows 6 Broadcom products. Do you do any of the other Broadcom products?
Great
I would
question.
say this one. We investigate products that we have a pipeline for customers interested in doing and try to develop courses associated with them. We added Ops MDS in 2021. We are looking at other platforms or other products in the future. But it depends on, you know, basically requests from our customers. So feel free to use that email, send it in and say, you know, I need this, this, and this. And we can use that as, you know, ammunition for our investment in these products. But we'll mention something else. Let's say you have a Roscoe shop, and I know one. I know there's a Roscoe shop out there. They also ran Datacom. So they said, well, we use Roscoe, not TSO. And we were like, okay. And so what we did is they had wanted a resident. So the one that they wanted, we made sure had exposure to Roscoe prior to going there. And even though it's not listed here, we had some, you know, some web-facing training. And then, of course, they can call the Roscoe engineers and say, can you show me how this works? And they work with them a couple of 3 days, they're off and running. we can do that as well. So we have some flexibility with the other products. We don't advertise them because we don't have fully vetted and inclusive everything type of program set for them. But we will try to help you customize your resident as much as possible.
Yeah, and to add on what Neil just said, yes, visit that website, fill out the form. If there's things that you don't see on here that you want, make that a comment so that we can gauge what our customers' interests are. And then at the same time, when you fill out that form and we get a meeting with you, we'll bring in our education team so that we can show you what we have, outside of just Vitality that could be, education that you don't know about that they can offer to you. And we have a whole team that can help us with that.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Another question just came in. Is the product training geared towards a programmer or the DBA?
Well,
that's a great. Go ahead, Earl.
It's for Datacom and IDMS, it's kind of a combination because they do learn install, they do learn how to apply maintenance, but they also learn the database aspects. So it's kind of two-pronged from a Datacom and IDMS perspective, since database was mentioned.
Thank you, sir. Another one just came in. You mentioned a current customer's employees' individual training opportunities through Vitality, but what about team training as mentioned in your promo? So I'm not sure exactly what promo that is.
If you're meaning sending multiple individuals to one of these 6 products, we would work with any customer. We have class limitations of 12, especially in this virtual environment. And we have a minimum of 3 to 4 to even host a class. So as long as we have 3 to 4 and less than 12, then we'll accommodate as many as we can. Now, we also have done in the past, and this was mostly in Europe, specialized classes for just a customer if we have that interest and we have enough, students to host an offshoot class. We can always work with our customers on that.
Thanks, Earl. All right, next one. What if I have someone who is completely new to the mainframe? Can I sign him or her up to put that employee through all the different training classes for all the different products?
Yeah, the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, in our past cohorts, we've had a couple of customers that had employees of their own. Either they were brand new that they just hired or were getting ready to hire, or they had moved from one area, like a distributed part of the business, to the mainframe, and they wanted to say, hey, listen, let's let them work with you for the next 4 to 5 months and get trained up. So we do allow that as well, and that is free as well. But that's an opportunity that is available to our customers. We will take your employee and take them all the way through the training.
Absolutely.
Let's see, we do have a couple more in here. What if we want to hire someone after 1 month of the intern? I guess maybe this is if someone is a resident, but they haven't finished their whole residency, they want to know if they can hire them early.
Well, we say up to 6 months of residency, but one of the things that I always encourage employers, especially when you find that person that's the perfect fit for you, is hire them as soon as you can. At the end of the day, we provide these individuals to you, and you're evaluating them during that residency period, but at the same time, they're evaluating you. And these are new to the mainframe. So if you see that diamond in the rough and you want to hire them after month 1, by all means, do that. And I would encourage you to do that so that you solidify them into your organization from day 1.
And we have seen that successfully work for a particular healthcare company out on the West Coast. They don't waste any time. We're also seeing that a little bit from some of our Canadian advocates as well. So they don't mess around, and good on them, because we don't have an endangerment with these folks. They can leave if they will. And
that's actually a great segue to the next question that just came in. If we have a couple openings in our company, are we allowed to pursue one or more of your interns? I guess maybe this is someone from a different company that maybe they're not working with. I'm not sure exactly what that question means.
I think I know where this is coming from. So here's the thing. We have a certain amount of residents that we train, right? But we have found, especially since middle of COVID to now, that the Vitality program is gaining a lot of momentum. Over the past 4 months, we're starting to get a lot more of our customers reaching out saying, okay, we want to sign up. And what that means, let me just take that for a moment. We have an SOW that we put together that is signed by us and the customer that lays out the expectations and responsibilities, and that's a $0 SOW. But we don't have an unlimited group of residents. So we like to spread it around. So we like to make sure that those that come in on a first come, first served basis are recognized. But we're not going to take our entire group of 7 residents, let's say, that we have, and put them with one customer. We try to identify at least one for those that are interested, and then we will kind of take that as a first come, first served discussion point. Neil, I don't know if you want to add any more to that.
No, I think that says it well. We just it's case by case. We're trying to, at some points when everybody's out the door and we're going, we just kind of lift our hands up. But if we have a situation where we have some, then we'll work with you the best we can. You know, we're trying to spread the wealth, but we're willing to work.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point with that. Last year, and really towards the end of 2020, we did not see as many that were, embracing the program. Just they were embracing the program, but we had a lot of residents that weren't being placed yet, and there was a lot of uncertainty in the market and what have you. But what we've noticed now is, since that's kind of been erased, we're starting to see our residents fly off the shelf. So that's a good thing for us and a good thing for our customers as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think I see one more. Yeah, we have one more question in here. What is the skill level of a Broadcom trainee when he or she completes the program?
Okay.
I will say that at the end of their training, I would call them an intermediate. I wouldn't call them, new or anything like that, or an intern or anything like that. I would call them an intermediate because they know the products, they know the mainframe, and what they need is now that real life experience. And that goes back to the whole mentoring process of showing what the environment is like at your site, and having that Broadcom mentor on the backside that's there to support them with any technical questions. So they're not a newbie, but they're certainly not an expert. They're somewhat an intermediate, and that is kind of how we put it to all of our customers, because we don't want them hiring them like they are just hiring a new college student that needs to learn mainframe. They've learned mainframe, they've learned the products that they're going to be working on. So as far as pay and so forth, it should be according to that kind of scale. They're not a newbie, but they're not an expert.
Plus, something I'll add there too is they come with a support structure. It's not like they just got mom and dad back at the house. That's their support structure. This is a mentor to help, a technical mentor from Broadcom that's not shoulder to shoulder, but is definitely there to help them out. They've got Earl or Dave or myself to help them needle through some of their professional growth. And that's what Dave was meaning by course correction. Help them understand, status reports at the end of every week, that sort of thing, things to help. So they come with the structure, and then when they join you, they get a whole another part of structure to help them even go further. So I always tell the residents when they graduate at the end that they will never be more supported right now than in their entire career than right this second. And it's so true. And that's the part I think that people forget about, is how do you build somebody is with a lot of folks around them, supporting them, helping them, and pushing them forward.
And
go ahead, Dave.
And you mentioned something that I want to expand on a little bit. We had one of our residents go to a customer, and they knew ACF too. or they were trained in ACF2. So they worked with the customer and the technical team members on ACF2 during their residency. But what we found out is this is a go-getter type of person, and they were looking and talking with their mentors, and they were like, well, listen, can you learn a little bit about Ops MVS too? So our resident, actually went to his ACF2 mentor and was like, hey, listen, how can I learn a little bit more about Ops MVS? So what we're seeing is, as the training is specific for one product, as the resident is involved with you at your location during the residency, there may be other Broadcom products that you want them to learn, and we have that avenue. And the mentor for ACF2 put that person in touch with one of the mentor type folks for Ops MVS, and so that communication started there. So the mentor program is not to take the place of or usurp the problem ticket process that our support teams work problem tickets, but it does enhance the relationship between resident and the mentor. So
yeah, and even some of our new our hires actually still have relationships with those mentors that has gone through their training with them. Some of them were their instructors who became their mentors, and some of them were assigned as mentors after training, but they still have those relationships to this day.
Yep.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. I don't see any other questions coming in, so we'll give everyone another 30 seconds or so to type. And I will also remind you that we do have our post-webcast survey that will pop up here when I close it.
Good question.
Dave, Neil, Earl, anything you guys want to close with while we're waiting to see if any questions come in?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to deliver this message to you. I think it's a wonderful program. I wish there was something like this when I came onto the mainframe. I had to sit next to a lot of older guys and them point me to things to do. And I learned that way, and picking up the books and what have you. I didn't have a whole lot of, hands-on outside of real work, hands-on training classes where there were instructors. I had a few throughout my career, but, a lot of what I learned was just on the job. So these guys get to start with much more of a head start than I ever got in my career.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
all right,
guys.
everybody, have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time. I did want to mention that our next Beyond Code webcast will be March 28th. We're going to give an update on some of our other educational offerings, so keep an eye out in the community for that invitation. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, Lynn. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.